It's been a while since Act 3 has released, and I don't think this comes as a surprise when I say that this act was bad. Act 3 pretty much killed the entire event for me and for many other people. Now I want to mention, do not harass anyone over this. Complain all you want, but just don't harass anyone. I also wanted to start this video positively by talking about Act 1 and Act 2. Gameplay of both of these acts was quite enjoyable, especially the map changing in the middle of the game was nice. It was something new and it was actually very nice. I also liked the story of Act 1. It did start a nice story about Amber getting her powers. It did slow down by Act 2 since there's only like one cutscene, but compared to Act 3 which has none, it is still better. Sadly, that's where the good parts end, and the rest of the video will be talking about Act 3 and its problems. Let's start with the delays. Act 3 was delayed 5 times, first time by a week, and it was the most understandable one. That delay was announced, and I think most of the people weren't that mad. However, the 4 other times we didn't get any explanation on why it kept being delayed got annoying pretty fast. Now, I do know that Below made a poll about changing the date from Friday to Saturday so other people had a chance of getting UGC, but this ended up being pointless in the end because it did release at like 4 AM for me, and all those delays made people just mad, and understandably so. All those delays even make me wanna question if Act 3 was even, if it even existed on the first planned date, which was the 3rd of November, or if the devs just made the entire Act 3 just within a week. Let's stop talking about the delays though and talk about the gameplay of Act 3. Act 3 gameplay is a disaster. It was a disaster at release with Near Impossible Wave 14, and it's still a mess today. This act was supposedly to be the new and an experimental game mode, which I got excited about. This act is just another Defender Center we've seen in Duck Hunt and in Christmas 2022. The only difference between Act 3 and other 2 is the fact that you can just block paths. But even then, blocking paths isn't exactly worth it. You have a total of like 10 path blockades you can build around the map, but only like 1 or 2 are actually useful. The rest are just a waste of money, and most of the time I don't even buy one for the entire game, since they are just that useless. Another complaint about the gameplay is the difficulty of this event. At least it was near impossible to win because of Wave 14. Messy spotlight hitboxes, the enemy swarm at last wave, and hands just stunning everything ended up in people dying before even realizing on what just happened. Now, thankfully it's been fixed, it's been balanced, and it's actually possible now, but Act 3 has gotten new problems since that fix. This act went from being near impossible to beat, to being super easy, at the point that you can just beat it solo with just 1 tower. That's how easy it is. Another problem is how slow this act feels like. I have no idea what's up with the newer versions of Defender Center being super slow for no reason. This was the case for Christmas event and also for this event. You have a total of 14 waves, but the game usually lasts like 19 minutes. Compared to the only good Defender Center map, which was Duck Hunt, and you can see that it had 20 waves, and you could beat it under 12 minutes. Act 3 feels super slow, especially because there's no actual way to speed it up. Regardless of what you do, it's always going to be around 19 minutes, which is just a big disappointment. Yet another problem I have, and I promise is the last one about the gameplay, is how cash works. You see, in all acts, cash works kinda like in hardcore. You need to do damage to get money, but at the same time, you don't. There's a glitch that still hasn't been fixed in the game, and it's very easy to encounter in this act. If you do this act with 3 different people, if you do it in quad, if you don't attack an enemy, you get more cash than if you attacked that enemy. For example, dealing 1 damage to the first enemy, which has like 30 HP, and that enemy dying ends up in giving you like $0. Even though you did 1 damage, you get $0. But if you deal 0 damage to the same enemy, you get like 10. Which means dealing no damage is actually better than doing any damage. How does that happen? I have no idea. So if you get a tower like Pyromass and place it around the map, your economy is essentially worthless. It's ruined. You won't get any money. And hey, I broke my promise. I've got one more thing to talk about the gameplay, and it's the last wave. It's just super underwhelming. You tell me that an event focused on Umbra and Lord Exo, because let's not deny it, this entire event was about Umbra and Lord Exo, makes it, like this act makes it so the final boss is like a pair of hands. Don't get me wrong, narrator turning bad wasn't that surprising, but him being the final boss is. He would fit much better as a mini-boss. Even with those hands, he fits better as a mini-boss. Him being the final boss of this event was, I think, the biggest letdown for many people. Now, story-wise, this act has no story. There's no Umbra, there's no Lord Exo. Lord Exo isn't even present in this entire event. Despite both of these characters being like the main focus of this event, we just end up fighting the narrator in the end, which, as I said just now, was just a big disappointment. The story of Act 3 is just non-existent. I think they are planning to add cutscenes in this act, but I think it's a little bit too late. I don't think many people would actually care, which is kinda sad. So, the story and gameplay suck about this event. Enemy design, other than final boss, is actually kinda decent. I like sock puppets the most. And another good thing is the music, if it actually decides to play and not bug out for whatever reason. Now, you might think that's all I had to say, but no. There's one more thing I want to touch upon, and those are the things going behind the scenes that normal player would never learn about. For example, those include developers ignoring any sort of tester feedback. One of the lines being spread around is balance is not a priority at this moment. And from I've learned, this was said by a developer to one of the TTS balancers. Same with testers reporting the bugs. The bugs have been reported. I've been told that a lot of testers have been reporting bugs, and despite that, those bugs and glitches weren't fixed even before the act even released. So those bug reports were pretty much ignored as well. And at the same time, then I can see in the announcements, testers being kinda thrown under the bus. I don't know if it's just me, but those announcements kinda put the blame on the testers. And I've seen it happen. I've seen a lot of people ask something like, how did testers allow this? Why did testers allow this? It's simple. They didn't. They just got ignored. So blaming the testers isn't the right thing to do. There's also one statement from one of the testers that I want to show, which says this: all I will say that this goes against everything I have been fighting for in QA for months now. This is the product of a dev team who rushes quality assurance and is too afraid of the community to delay events. Which is right. The first delay wasn't met with that much backlash. Since it was announced, I don't think there was that much backlash. I think devs were just too afraid of being called Tower Delay Simulator again, that they released whatever they had ready and called it a day, which didn't really work out well. And as much as I wanna say that hopefully devs will learn from their mistakes, it's been happening for so long, and at this point I don't think that's possible. Maybe this act and this video will be a wake-up call for them, but I heavily doubt it. Anyways, that's all I had to say. This act was bad. Killed the entire vibe of Luna event, and I actually wonder what you guys think about it. Anyways, see ya.